So I think a lot of people are not very well tuned into their bodies. They're very tuned into their minds, but they're not tuned into their bodies. And so like even when I meet with clients now with my homeopathic practice, I added only no, I've been in practice almost 10 years. And so about maybe 2, 3 years ago, I added to my intake form a section on self-care. I wanted to know sleep, hydration, exercise, mindfulness, all like a series of 5, 6, 7 things to see if what they do and if they're acutely aware or not of themselves. And I would say maybe 20% have some good stuff written in there. The rest of them have like sleep sometimes, hydration, I'm trying, and it's like, okay, this is where I can also work with you. It's not just a homeopathic remedy, but it's also about your habits and about how you think and how you feel and to tune into that. With homeopathic care, one thing we need from people is very specific details. Like, so you have a sore throat. Okay, tell me, is it on the left side or more on the right? Okay, does it feel better from warm drinks or cold drinks? Can you do a dry swallow? What happens when you talk? Is that a problem? Is there any mucus that comes up? I mean, we ask details, and some people are like, I don't know, it just hurts.
Mm.
And you're like, we teach people through our care, if they continue with us, how to be self-aware of all the things. Like when you go into air conditioning, does that bother you? Does it help when there's a storm that comes in? I mean, the little minutiae that go along with all the different symptoms that we have. And so a lot of people are not tuned in when I first start working with them, and then they get it and they go, they track it, they know what I'm looking for. It's very helpful once they do. So it's kind of like a peeling off of layers of just like, okay, I'm not just this thing. I am this thing that has different modalities and likes and dislikes and preferences. So it's a really interesting process, and I have to have a lot of patience. And this is God talking to me because I used to be and still at times can be pretty impatient.
Mm.
But this is one practice that you cannot continually be impatient because it doesn't work well. So I'm learning that. The universe is speaking to me on that one.
Well, I really appreciate you
Mm,
sharing that piece there
mm,
because on the flip side, you're also being a model for patients or of
mm,
patience for the client
yeah,
because if they're in pain, they're trying to rush out of pain as quickly as possible. Go figure, everybody rushes
I
to
get
get
it.
the pill
Yeah.
very quickly or whatever that, shoot me with whatever, like without realizing there's an ecosystem of other factors that might be playing a role in
Mm,
this thing. Like when you were describing all that, all I visualized was somebody standing in the middle of a very thick fog.
mm,
How the in the middle of a forest, no less. Of
mhm.
course you keep banging into trees every step you take, or you get stuck. And it's like,
Mm,
well, what if you first let the fog settle and then you take
mm,
a step? Not only will you
mm.
feel less chaotic, but then you will also probably not walk into the damn tree. Like
Yeah.
it's not the tree's fault. You keep running into it. You're
Yeah.
and they're looking to just saw down the trees as opposed to like just first come to terms with yourself and
It's a great analogy. That was a great analogy. You did that. Love
well
that.
you
Mm.
set the table for that, so I appreciate you just like giving me an ollie, like it was an ollie and I
All
came in with
the
oops. There we go, basketball
there you
reference. See
go.
where I went with
Okay.
it?
Yeah, right, right. I see.
But
Uh,
it's the courage to have the patience, and I by even you saying that, it reminds me too,
mm,
because it's like great, I see the answer, but if they
mm.
don't see the answer, it doesn't matter. We just
I have to walk them into it if it's possible. Sometimes it's not, but for the most times it can get there.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
they have to. I do my best. I know I've seen some homeopaths or naturopaths when you go and they tell you you need to change your diet, you need to start exercise, you need to drink more water, da, 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 da. And of course everybody leaves that office going, I don't know what to do. But if that practitioner could say to themselves, okay, what's the most important thing,
Mm.
the one thing that this person could do right now that would really make a difference, emphasize that and forget about the other stuff until they come back the next time. So maybe it's just, okay, now this is really important to stop, and we're going to share with you an app on your phone that will help you start meditating. That's it, because you need to stop the craziness. You need to come back to yourself. You need to be instead of do. And this is where you start. And that's it, because that they can do typically. If they really want to, they can. But if you ask them to do all those 5, 6, 7, 8 other things that you know they also need to do, that's, it's just going to be like, well, forget that, you know. So you got to do one thing at a time.